So, Father God brought this dream to my memory, and so I want to put this out here, and He's gonna use this however He uses it. Um, but here we go. So, got my notebook here with me. On June 4th, this was 2019, so this was last June. Um, the dream actually had three parts, but the part that He brought to my memory, and the part that He actually wants me to talk about in this video, anyways. So it was nighttime. Um, it was cloudy and it was kind of like a hazy cloud. It was nighttime and it was kind of like cloudy and like hazy, smoky type stuff. And it was either I or another person on some sort of like military order um, that shot a nuclear missile at some sort of city in a nation that I was brought to understand was Japan. And I wrote down that it was probably Tokyo, but I could definitely be wrong about that. But I know that it was Japan was the nation. Now, when I say that it was either I or someone else, the reason I'm saying I is because my perspective was like like first person. So um, I wasn't in the cockpit at first. I were not at all. I wasn't ever in the cockpit. It was just like night sky, and then let's say 20,000, 30,000 feet up. Let's just say for sake of numbers, and then you look down and you can see the you know the lights, the active lights of the cities below and whatnot. Um, but when the missile shot out, um, it was the feeling that I had shot it, but that it was given as an order. So that's why I say like either I or someone else, as in that the Lord had me like in for whatever reason He wanted to have me in um that 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 to have that understanding that someone took an order and like shot this missile. Um, and then like right after the missile left the bay, uh, this is when I uh, uh, this is when the plane actually like fully came into my view. Because at the beginning of the dream, all I saw at first was the night sky and the ground that was further beneath, and then I saw, um, maybe the front of the wings and maybe some of the front of the plane. But after the missile shot out, um, or right after the missile shot out, I turned straight around in the plane, and at the same time, I saw. Um, so okay, so the plane turned around, like like took a beeline to turn around, like it was in a hurry, like the it was in a hurry to get out of there. So the missile shoots out, and I turn around immediately, and now basically the plane, instead of me going forward in the direction of the plane turns around, and now I'm still facing the city, but the plane and as well as myself are now moving backwards. So the plane is now facing me. I'm facing the city, but we're moving backwards as the plane is flying away. And essentially, when I saw the like explosion, it was like this, because it was nighttime, so it was this kind of like really bright purple whitish orb that kind of just drew like where the missile had hit. Um, it kind of like grew like slow, but it was when it exploded, it kind of grew like slow but steady. This kind of like this large like heat orb, uh, like if you can imagine like a sphere, but like half of a sphere, and just kind of like slowly expanding. And it basically just left the place desolate. Now, again, I was brought to understand in the dream that the nation itself was Japan, but as to what city that was, I wrote down that it might have been Tokyo, but it might not. Uh, it might not be. Um, now, I've also been brought up to bring up another dream I had, um, which was in October. I didn't write down the exact date. I didn't write down like the date, but it was in I was in October, um, and basically me and uh, a friend of mine, we were on the outside of a ship which was at sea, and the sea was kind of well, not kind of, the sea was very boisterous. It was like, we're talking like, if you've ever seen what the North Sea can look like on a crazy day, you know, those waves types of look like what those types of waves look like. That's what the ocean, the water looked like on the sides of the ship that me and my friend were on. And the ship itself was some sort of like military vessel, right? Um, the ship was some sort of like military vessel, and so we were walking on the outside of the ship for a little bit, and the waves were crashing. And again, it's something I can compare to the North Sea, how how just crazy those waves are. Um, and it was raining. It was raining. It was windy. And I think we both had rain jackets on, but I can't really remember. And I didn't write down specifically if we had rain jackets on, but we were both on the outside of the ship. But when we moved on the inside of the ship, um, essentially it was a direct turnaround. Like on the outside, the ship was rocking almost literally like this. And the waves, as I said, they were crazy. So we go on the inside of the ship, and it's basically like a direct turnaround. Like it went from being chaos to being peace. It that I think that's the best way I can describe it. Thank you, Holy Spirit. It went from directly being like chaos. it it went from literally being chaos to peace. Like it went from being That's crazy. It went from literally being chaos to peace. So like we walk on the inside of the ship, and literally like you couldn't even tell there was a storm outside. Like all the like you couldn't even tell there was no the inside of the ship didn't move at all. There was no rocking and waving. Um Me and my friend was chilling in the dream, um doing some other stuff, but the point is when we got on the inside of the ship, um again, there was chaos, all this chaos going on the outside, but on the inside of the ship, it was nothing but peace and just stillness. So the Lord wanted me to bring these things up, and one thing I do want to speak on is that the first dream, um, let me start by saying this: the second dream with the ship, um, I know in my heart of hearts, and I know that even though we learn in part and we know in part, the part that I do know is that as for the ship itself, um, the only refuge is Jesus Christ. And so I know that that ship, in one way or another, represents the peace of Jesus, the peace of God, his presence, his refuge, his delivery, his power to be with you to deliver. But as for the first dream, I do think the feeling on the first dream when I was in the jet was not that of sim it was not that of a symbolic order. It wasn't a feeling of it wasn't the feeling of symbolic order. It was the feeling of this is a future event. Now, whether it's a literal, you know, someone shoots a missile out of the jet that I saw, um, or whether it just represents an attack, that's something else entirely. But the second dream of concerning refuge concerned refuge in the Lord. But the first dream is concerning an event for a future time. All that said, um, this is just kind of like another. I think I've had like 3 videos so far on having the Lord as our refuge, and this is for his reasons. This is another instance of you know putting it out there that no matter what's happening on the outside, no matter what it looks like, that at the end of the day, like Jesus is our um, he is our refuge and he is our peace, and and because He lives on the inside of us, you know, that 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 he doesn't, because He lives on the inside of us, his peace is in us. So the Lord's gonna use this however He wants to use it, and whoever needs to see this is gonna see this. But yeah, this is just another instance of the Lord, speaking about his power to save and his power to deliver. So I hope you can receive this.